Okay, we're continuing with the Holy Grail Wisdom Quotes book by me, Pete Rogers. We're doing Oscar Wilde, the great Irish playwright who went to England and became the star writer in the world of his time. His full name is Oscar Fingal O'Flaherty Wilde. He's a great comic playwright. And what I liked about him was here's this Irish guy, and he goes to England where they hate Irish people, and he becomes the most successful playwright. And he knew he wanted to be famous right from the beginning. And he was a very tall guy. I think he's about 6'3" in height. And he was always looking for an angle. How could he become famous? He was famous even before he became a great writer. He found his angle when he was watching John Ruskin, the greatest ever art critic, giving lectures over at Oxford. And so then he declared himself to be the future art expert and to be the expert on beauty, the prophet of aesthetic culture. And he would wear this long suit that looked like a cello. And, being such a tall guy with this crazy looking outfit, a total dandy, if you will, people took an interest in him. And that led to him becoming famous. He went on a tour to promote a play, like one of these operas, Rodgers and Hammerstein and Gilbert and Sullivan. And Bunthorne was sort of the nickname of this aesthetic, wimpy guy. But he turned it into a giant publicity stunt for himself. When he came to customs after traveling by ship from England to the United States, they said, "Do you have anything to declare?" He said, "I have nothing to declare but my genius." And then he said he was traveling around the United States preaching the gospel of art, educating the heathen Americans. Okay, so he did do some great things. His play, The Importance of Becoming Earnest, is like one of the best all-time play comedies ever written. That was really the best thing he ever wrote. Portrait of Dorian Gray was pretty good. Lady Windermere's Fan, another play, was pretty good. Portrait of Dorian Gray was a novel. He wrote some good poems as well. He wrote some good children's fairy tales as well, like The Giant was a good one. He did get married and have some kids, but, in my opinion, he fell apart like a scumbag. He started hanging around with Bosie, which was his, homosexual boyfriend, and he just went into the gutter. And he got convicted of obscenity for homosexual behavior and indecency. He also became an alcoholic, was real pathetic. He abandoned his wife and kids. So he really became a screw-up loser in the end, okay? But when he was up and coming, he was extraordinary. He was homeschooled, and he could read in several different languages. And he won awards for being great at Greek translation. He could read also in French, Italian, Greek, and German. I mean, he was super smart. His mother was really smart and a good writer as well, a very good writer. His father was an ENT doctor and a pretty famous surgeon in his time. Okay, one good quote by James Heffernan, professor at thegreatcourse.com. He said, "The importance of being earnest shows us the importance of being playful." He was always cracking jokes, okay? And I'm half Irish, so I've noticed my Irish side of the family, they're very good at conversation. It's called the gift of the gab, the Blarney Stone. Irish are good at talking. And he played it up to hilt. His mother was really good at it, and he imitated her, just being full of quotes and jokes and stories, and it was good. Okay, like here's a typical story about Oscar Wilde. When he was 16 years of age, his parents took him to the Dublin Society Ball, and he walked right up to a middle-aged lady, and he asked her, "Would you like to dance?" And she was actually a pretty famous lady, and she said, and she was pregnant. He didn't know she was pregnant. She says, "Do you actually think I would dance with a child?" And Wilde said, "If I knew you were with a child, I would not have asked you." In later years, Oscar Wilde converted to being a Catholic. Okay, a lot of the major persons in his life all eventually became Catholics. The Marquis of Queensberry, who had persecuted him, Alfred Douglas, okay, Aubrey Beardsley. John Ruskin, the famous art professor at Oxford, he wrote a letter to him. That's how he got his idea of being Mr. Art Aesthetic Prophet. He said to Ruskin, "My dearest memories of Oxford were my walks and talks with you. From you I learned nothing but what was good. There is something in you of the prophet, the priest, and the poet. And to you the gods gave eloquence such as they have given none other, so that your message might come to us with the fire of passion and the marvel of music making, that the deaf may hear." Okay, Ruskin was a great writer, very entertaining. very strong in his prose. It's sort of very binary opposition, a biblical style, prophetic style. Okay, and it leads the blind to see. Okay, so then he says, now Ruskin, one thing he was criticized for is he would overpraise Turner. J.M.W. Turner was this artist in the mid-1800s in England, and I agree with most people. I think he's overrated. I mean, don't get me wrong, he made some decent paintings, but he was pretty overrated. But Ruskin just praised him to the end of the earth and loved him. And Wilde said, who cares whether Ruskin's view on Turner are sound or not? What does it matter? That mighty and majestic prose of Ruskin is at least as great a work of art as any of those wonderful sunsets. Okay, here was Oscar Wilde's criticism of a book. He said, as a writer, the author has mastered everything except language. As a novelist, he can do everything except tell a story. And as an artist, he is everything except articulate. He has nothing to say and says it. And then Oscar says, I was working on a proof for one of my poems all morning, and I took out a comma. In the afternoon, I put it back in again. A man who does not think for himself does not think at all. Discontent is the first step in the progress of a man. I think that's true. As long as you feel like everything is going okay, why change? So you have to kind of have a shock to the system, a realization that there's better knowledge and information out there to make you to want to pursue it, or a realization that what you're doing is not working or it's not leading you anywhere good and you need to change. And that discontent and shock is the motivator to learn something new, to do something new, to be something new. Oscar Wilde, the aim of life is self-development, to realize one's nature perfectly. That is what each of us is here for. Okay, and now a quote about writing. Oh no, this is not about writing. This is just about life and behavior. In matters of grave importance, style, not sincerity, is the vital thing. Yeah, in a lot of moments, sadness, terrible things happen, a death or something. The important thing is the emotions conveyed more than the words, and there's a way to do that. Okay, his next quote here is, I am not young enough to know everything. And that kind of goes to young guys think they know everything. They're high in testosterone. They got big muscles. They're proud of their physical strength. But you just can't know that much when you're less than 30 years of age. So, okay, Oscar Wilde quote, to win back my youth, I would do anything except take up exercise, wake up early, or be a useful member of the community. All right, that's it for Oscar Wilde today. We'll probably have at least 3 or 4 parts. He's got a lot of quotes. Hope you found that helpful.